How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Anaretic degree for the true king's abdication as prophesized in ancient Mesopotamia. A perfect title, considering tonight was the total eclipse, and it's also full moon. And this weekend we also had a grand planet parade. So it's been a very heavily energetic weekend. In whispers we govern, through the elements we obscure, in static we command, in nightmares we pursue. We are earth and air, we are fire and water. We are the remembered, we are the returned. We are the whispers, in silence we thrive. I'm going to do my interpretations today in parables, short stories, pros and cons analogies to kind of switch it up. I was just impulsed to do a different approach today. So with the sun opposition moon, I have a short parable. Once upon a time, there was a king who inherited a vast, dusty collection of heirlooms from his family. The collection was kept in a great fortified vault, and every item was labeled and accounted for. He was deeply attached to these treasures, believing his power and worth were tied to their perfect preservation. His heart, which is the moon, was safest when surrounded by these material things, yet the constant worry of theft and loss. This emotional tie to protecting his wealth caused him great internal distress. Meanwhile, his kingdom was in total disarray. Other nations were in turmoil, and the rulers sought assistance, proposing strategic alliances and shared investments. The king knew that to truly assert his power and influence, the sun, he had to step beyond his vault, and his ego desired control and transformation through these powerful, complex ventures. Now, this created a constant internal tug-of-war. The king would send a small portion of his wealth to a neighboring kingdom, but instantly a sense of panic would flood him. He would then overcompensate by adding another less valuable heirloom to his vault, feeling a false sense of renewed security. One day, he engaged in a high-stakes negotiation that left him feeling powerful and influential, only to return home and fuss over the arrangement of his old heirlooms, feeling emotionally depleted. One evening, an advisor, watching the king in his opulent but confining vault, spoke a parable. "My king, your heart is like a vast sea, and your ego like a mighty furnace. The fire demands to be fed, to burn brightly and light up the world. Yet the sea constantly rushes to extinguish it. To keep the world small and safe, you stand alone on the shore. And every time the fire glows, you must fight the tide. But a king is not just a furnace or a sea, he is also the land in between. True power is not the size of the fire nor the calm of the tide, but in how the land manages the two. The greatest king learns that the strong tide can be used to forge new paths for the river, and that the fire's light can illuminate what the sea obscures. To be truly powerful, one must learn how to use tidal emotion of his fears to fuel his fire of his ambition. Internal balance. Alchemy, if you will. The king saw the truth in the parable, and he began to see his emotional fears not as a force to be resisted, but as a source of energy. He took a bold financial risk on a new trading route. When his heart began to pound with worry, he didn't retreat to his vault. Instead, he channeled that emotional energy into negotiations. Using this gut feeling to navigate the complex deal, the venture was a success, and the king realized he didn't need the old dusty heirlooms for security. His real worth was in his ability to manage the tension between the inner security and the powerful ambitions. He would always feel the emotional tide, but he no longer let it define him. He had always integrated the fire and the water, and in doing so, had become a more complete and powerful king. With the sun conjunct Mercury, I've got a pros and cons of unity analogy through the brilliant performance being the pro. The sun represents the ego and sense of self, while Mercury rules communication. Learning and the immediate environment, the third house governs local interactions, short trips, siblings, and a mind's daily function. A natural performer with this placement, your mind and voice are put under a spotlight. When you speak, people notice and listen because your thoughts are clearly and confidently projected, much like a great actor delivering a monologue. Illuminated ideas are the sun's energy clarifying and amplifying Mercury's function, which can lead to brilliant and well-articulated ideas. Your thoughts are not to be left in the shadows, but are brought into the forefront with clarity and flair. With the center of the local scene, the spotlight also shines on your immediate environment, and you may become a prominent voice or a central figure in your local community among siblings or in a close-knit social circle, if you will. On the contrary, though, on the karmic aspect, the cons would be a washed-out actor or actress, or actors or actresses, singular or plural. It's probably a pluralcy here. The same intensity that creates brilliance can also create significant challenges, particularly if Mercury is too close to the sun. This is a condition known as the combust. Blinding everyone else, an ego-driven spotlight can wash out the audience. You may talk with such conviction that others feel that they have no room to contribute or offer a differing opinion. You might dominate conversations without realizing it. This leads to an inability to listen. In the blinding light of your own ideas, it can become very difficult to hear or genuinely consider what others have to say. Your ego can become so tied to being right that it makes collaboration difficult. Information overload. You're going to be overloaded with the spotlight constantly on. Your mind never rests. You are always on, always processing, and always communicating. This can lead to mental restlessness and being easily overstimulated by the sheer amount of daily information. With the washed-out actor comparison known as the combust, we can see this now in the arrow formation from the moon facing the sun into Mercury on the astrological wheel. Someone here wants something to be silenced, a gift, if you will, possibly as seen in the X formation into the sun and Mercury being the Gibo in runic terms, and shut off, shut up, or shut out with the Norse goddess Hel. We can see in this formation that it is forbidden magic being used in forms of a divine energy of the hunt. Artemis came to mind with this one. Highlighted in two primes, the red and the blue creating a purple aligning, we can see that whatever this group did was seen. I'm getting police just by the red and the blue, but purple being a royal violation of law. Divine, physical, or spiritual, even lesser. And in this combust position, it is met with a boomerang effect directed at Capricorn and Sagittarius. The forbidden magic is emphasized in a tribal aspect where the moon attacking the sun and Mercury for silencing. We got heavy and Saturn and Neptune to project an illusion or create confusion. And with the moon in the north node and the north node in reverse, we see a north node push to create a catastrophic cliff fall for somebody back into south node position, where somebody is projecting someone to be a crackhead, is the most simplistic explanation of that line positioning. We got Sun sextile Jupiter with the grand architect of our magnus opus, the workshop analogy. The workshop in the sixth house, this represents the house of work, daily routines, health, service, skills, development. It's a practical day-to-day domain of a person's life. It's not the grand stage of a career of fame in the 10th house, but rather the foundational behind-the-scenes work that enables success. Silence into moves cannot be silenced. The tools here, being Jupiter, is the planet of expansion, luck, opportunity, and faith. It provides the person with superior tools for their work, perhaps exceptional skills, a talent for learning new techniques. This can manifest as excellent training, an insightful mentor, or fortunate timing in career development. With the craftsperson's purpose, which is the sun represents the core identity and sense of purpose. This craftsperson finds their identity and sense of self-worth by being an excellent worker, by performing their daily tasks with skill, and by maintaining their health. They take pride in their craft, and that word is going to be emphasized. We are working heavy on the craft and their efficiency. We've got a harmonious arrangement with the sextile. The sextile is a harmonious and supportive aspect, but it requires conscious effort to activate. It's not luck that falls into your lap. The opportunity exists and was always there. You just had to pick up the tool and use it properly. In the workshop analogy, the tool and the craftsperson's skills are in perfect alignment. The craftsperson knows exactly which tool to use and trusts that it will work well in a projected, formulated idea and or chess move, if you will. Pre-planning and projection and hitting marks each step of the way. Checkmate, if you will. Now, how the analogy represents the aspect is effort and reward. The sextile implies that good fortune in your work and health comes from not from passive luck, but from taking initiative. When you make the effort to hone your skills or improve your routines, the craftsperson using their tools, you receive positive outcomes. We've got efficiency and optimism. This aspect creates a sense of effortlessness and efficiency. The craftsperson is optimistic, being they know they are well equipped to handle any task. Their positive attitude is a resource in itself and inspires others. Well-being and productivity, a well-maintained workshop, good health, good habits, good routine, the trifecta of existence. The sextile, it leads to a higher productivity. The sextile promotes a healthy work-life balance, and it does exist if you can manage time management. I can't speak on that because I'm late for everything. I'm awful because I run on my own time, not other people's time. I'm always on time in my world, but to others I might be, 10 to 15 minutes late, but I'm going to be there. It's like that meme, they know I'm going to be there, I know I'm going to be there, and I'm going to do the best damn job I possibly can. I'm just going to be late, but I'm guaranteed to show up because I always show up. But sextile promotes a healthy work-life balance and a sense of fulfillment in daily tasks, which in turn leads to greater overall well-being. We've got humility and service. The pride of the craftsperson isn't in their title. So it's not that the emphasis is put in a title or a physical state of material, because true divine energy and true spiritual abundance comes in the ability to tap into wisdom and the energetic fields around us. Naturally being authentically in our energy, not projecting and containing, and I'm going to emphasize the word containment and containing, binding and casting in a malice intent. It's like a mosquito. Anyways, I digress. But in their finished product, this aspect inclines a person towards service and finds dignity in doing their job well. Rather than seeking glory, these tools are there to be of a service, not just for show. So no flexing, especially if we have stolen someone else's tools to advance our own path. But that never works for anybody, no matter who, what, when, where, or why you are. It always blows up in your face. It's like the cops blowing through a door. Boom! Karma hits when you least expect it. When we are most comfortable. And it is coming. We've got a Sun opposition North Node, the unfolding of conscious motivation, with the core theme of this opposition, past life talents versus future purpose. We got the comfort zone, which is the opposite of the North Node, the 5th house South Node. In past lives, you may have been a creative talent, a performer, or someone whose identity was strongly tied to romance, fun, and personal expression. This can lead to a natural magnetism and a desire to be the center of attention. With the destined growth, the 11th house North Node, your path in this lifetime is to move beyond self-centered focus on personal fame and pleasure. So don't be going out here doing some crazy wild shit to try to steal from someone else, to promote thyself, to gain fortune, and for personal gain, while perpetually destroying everyone and everything around you, because we're going to start up on a tiny little ball and pillar, and it's going to come up into a cone shape, and it's just going to be like a projection beam, satellite reverse, so it's going to just decimate the playing field entirely. So we're going to move beyond a self-centered focus on personal fame and pleasure. True fulfillment comes from redirecting your creative energy towards a collective or humanitarian vision. You actually need to like people to be able to embody and do this. We can't pretend to like people while secretly bad-mouthing everybody and talking shit on everybody and throwing everyone under the bus or doing crazy wild shit to promote self and look at me while just saying, F the rest of you guys, I'm, me. in reality, it's we, and there's no I in team. Unless it's I team and we're speaking in terms of like, electronics or something, wireless. That's irrelevant though. In terms of people and human beings, we, the people, do things together and collectively, not me, or in a tense of someone else saying me, me, me. That's very selfish and self-centered. The deepest satisfaction is found not in personal glory, but in collaborative efforts and friendships that share a progressive and long-term vision. Birds of a feather, that's not just a detriment saying, that could be a very beneficial thing. Eagles are of a natural existence with no known predators. Birds of a feather, eagles fly, soar high, they could soar together, meet other eagles. Don't be a pigeon with your big neck ass cousin, over there shitting on everything. Be an eagle, soar high, aim higher, be higher. Don't be a crackhead. We got ego and community. The opposition can manifest as a struggle to let go of an ego that was built on being the creative star, the real star. The challenge is to use natural charisma and creativity to inspire and lead a community, rather than simply performing for applause. Look at me. It may be necessary to concisely sacrifice personal desires for the collective goal, the bigger picture. Small mind, small brain can never see the bigger picture. They get but a puzzle piece, and Toth will encrypt it and encode it in such an linguistic manner that unless we're truly tapped into these energies and work with ISIS to get the Tahuti, you won't get that other puzzle piece ever. Never, ever. A new kind of love popping out. The South Node in the 5th house suggests a familiar habit of building love through admiration and being needed by others, perhaps based on childhood experiences. With the North Node in the 11th house, this calls for building love in a more grown-up, detached way through shared values and social contributions rather than personal adoration. How to overcome the challenge? We integrate the opposition to move towards true destiny and focus on these actions. We're going to shift motivation. We're going to go right. We're going to take a right turn for a change. Release craving for personal validation. Stop seeking external validation. Fuck everyone else's opinions. You. It's okay to be selfish about you and your hype on you. You are a great person. It is okay to be unique. Stop seeking other people's opinions. Half of them don't even like themselves. Find satisfaction in your success, in group causes. If you want to seek external validation, work in a collective group. Do something productive. Don't sit around partying, getting diarrhea, fighting over the toilet, and the same girl or the same guy fighting everybody, being a nuisance in public. That's disgraceful. Don't be disgraceful. Empower other people. Stop tearing other people down. This season, we're going to be using creative skills and leadership abilities to empower other people, helping them find their success within a collective. I don't give a shit what the hell the next man's doing. If that's pretty weird shit to be worried about, that don't pay my bills. And if it does, that might be something illegal, and that's a whole court case in itself. Engage with your community. The most significant life lessons are likely to emerge through friends, social networks, and organizations. Use charisma to forge authentic connections based on shared ideals. Believe me, as weird as some of us are, there's other like-minded people like us. As unique as some people are, there's always a group and circle they belong to. And on a spiritual sense, sometimes it's weirdos that have some of the highest spiritual ranking authority walking. And it could be a homeless bum. Down the street, you'd never know until you fucked around and found out. We got balance, indulgence, and responsibility. While the 5th house loves pleasure and fun, the 11th house teaches you to apply your energy towards long-term goals that serve a broader purpose. We've got the Sun sextile Lilith. I'm going to do this as a parable for the Sun sextile Lilith in the 12th house, illustrating the harmonious integration of one's conscious self with the hidden, intuitive, and primal parts of the psyche. In a sun-drenched coastal town, there lived a celebrated artist named Elias. His paintings were masterpieces of vibrant light and joyful color. He was beloved by the community for his bright, generous spirit, and his art brought a sense of peace to all who saw it. He was, to all appearances, a man of pure light, and his life was a canvas of success and goodwill, the sun. But Elias held a secret. He was haunted by dreams of a deep dark sea where strange shadowy creatures swam just beneath the surface. He would wake from these dreams with an unfamiliar energy, a profound and unsettling insight that he did not understand. In his waking life, he felt just a pull towards the town's forgotten places, the crumbling lighthouse on a forgotten rock, the overgrown thorny path that led to a forgotten cove, and the abandoned cellar beneath his own studio, which is the 12th house Lilith. His conscious mind, his brilliant son, could not comprehend the shadow. He felt shame and fear about these dark primal impulses. He was afraid that if he let this other part of him out, it would tarnish the light and beautiful image he had so carefully built. He kept the strange and unsettling dreams locked away in a cellar of his mind. One day, an intense creative block stifled Elias. The light had gone out of his work. His colors were muted and his brushstrokes hesitant. He felt hollow. Desperate, he found himself wandering towards the forgotten cove, drawn by a force he could no longer resist. There he saw a black heron, a bird of dark and ancient grace, fishing silently in shallow waters. The sigh of the heron struck him. It's quiet. Primal beauty was a perfect complement to the sun-drenched world he knew. He watched as the bird moved with a stillness and power that was not loud or demanding, but rather deep and intuitive. It did not try to hide its darkness, but used it to its advantage, casting no shadow or water as it hunted. A realization dawned on Elias. His dreams were not a curse, but a gift. The shadowy creatures of his sleep were his own deep suppressed instincts, his hidden wisdom. 12th house Lilith. His sunlit art was suffering because it was incomplete. It denied the truth and the power of the unseen. Inspired, Elias returned to his studio. He descended into the dark cellar he always avoided and began to paint what he saw in his dreams. He did not abandon his sunlight style, but began to infuse his work with the mysterious depths of the subconscious. He painted silent, graceful figures emerging from the mist, shadowy landscapes, and portraits with profound ancient eyes. When he revealed his new work, the townspeople were transfixed. The paintings were still beautiful, but they had a new magnetic quality. There was an unspoken depth that drew people in, making them feel seen and understood in a way his earlier brighter work never could. Elias discovered that by embracing his hidden primal nature, his conscious creativity had become richer and more powerful. His light now shone with an authentic and grounded strength, no longer fearing the darkness, but using it to cast a more profound and beautiful shadow. I've got the North Node 16 and 18 with the 16th angel of the Shem HaMefarash as Hakamia, whose name means the raising God. As a Kabbalistic angel from the Cherubian choir, Hakamia provides protection against traitors, gives victory, and bestows loyalty. With the abilities, again, granting loyalty, a brave character, and sensitivity to honor, protects against oppression and grants victory. This angel is linked to Psalms 88, verse 1, which is the opening line of a lament in the Bible that reads, "O Lord, God of my salvation, day and night I cry out for you." Specifically, the urgency, the act of crying out, conveys an urgent and earnest plea for divine intervention immediately. 18 as Kaliao, again, coming through as the aspects. We've got justice and truth. Kaliao brings truth to light in court, ensures innocence prevails, and exposes false testimony. We've got integrity. With individuals born under Kaliao's influences are said to have integrity and a love for the truth. With government and law, this angel is significant for those in government or engaged in legal work, promoting fairness and justice, adjudicating for those who cannot fight for themselves, being a voice of the people who cannot fight. We've got invocations. On this moon, I will project and cast through the shadows an invocation of Kaliao to come forth, rushing into those urgent in need and acting as an ally in emergency situations, starting now. We've got the Sun 27 and 15 with Renov, the 27th spirit of Solomon. Specifically, he specializes in rhetoric, the arts, and the knowledge of language. He is also said to provide faithful servants and to help the conjurer gain favor with both friends and enemies. Unification. Associated tasks. In some lore, Renov is also known as the taker of old souls. collecting the souls of aging humans and animals near death. The 15th spirit, 15 is represented by Elagos, the 15th spirit of Solomon, with the abilities of discovering hidden things and predicts future events, especially regarding wars and conflicts, as evidenced by the use of Artemis and the moon attacking the sun and Mercury. This is rebounded and reversed. Where the hell was I? His ability, regarding wars and conflicts, he can cause love and affection among lords and great personages. For Mercury, I got the numbers 13 and 10, but it came through as a passage, Psalms 13. How long, Lord, will you forget me? Forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and every day have sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look on me and answer, Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. Or my enemies will say, I have overcome him. And my foes will rejoice when I fall. But I trust in your unfailing love, and my heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord because he has been good to me. And I'm projecting that as a prayer for many. I'm ending this video with the Mesopotamian omen of the substitute king ritual. To divert the evil omen away from the true monarch, a detailed and gruesome ritual known as the substitute king, Shiarfui, was performed. The ritual transferred the intended fate of the eclipse to a temporary replacement. The king's abdication. The ruler would temporarily step down and go into hiding, often posing as a common farmer to avoid the curse. The substitute's coronation, an expendable individual, and I cannot emphasize more on expendable. Often a convict, a prisoner of war, gardener, or just someone low on the totem pole, probably losing their shit in their mind because they can't handle the power, was chosen to act as the interim monarch. The substitute was dressed in royal robes and treated as the actual king for a period, though they never really truly held any power. They only thought they did, and as the real illusion over a mass was lifted, they began to see that. Now, the ritual of transference was an elaborate exorcistic rite which was performed to transfer the native omen from the real king to the temporary one. The proxy's demise, once the eclipse and the associated period of danger had passed, the substitute king was killed, thereby fulfilling the prophecy and preserving the real true king, or heir. For the Mesopotamians, omens were not about destiny, but about warnings from the gods. Even the most dire predictions could be averted through ritual. If an eclipse was predicted, court astrologers would consult the omens. If the outcome was threatening, they would perform additional divination, such as inspecting the entrails and sacrificial animals, to see if the threat was real. The substitute king ritual was considered the ultimate rite to annul the bad omen. A little turn of the tables, if you will, reversal. That's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you found it entertaining. I'll see you in the next one.